Thank you for taking the time to view this training session. In this session, we will review some common customer objections and how to respond to them. Microsoft operates Azure based on a number of cloud principles. Among these, Microsoft services are under the Microsoft security policy. Microsoft provides transparency in data location and transfers so that you're always aware where the data resides. Microsoft will audit its performance and compliance on your behalf and provide certification reports. And related to that, compliance certifications are available as documents in the Azure Trust Center. Like most cloud providers, Microsoft's liability is capped, consistent with other industry standards. Microsoft commits that they will not disclose customer data to a third party except as a customer directs or as required by law. Microsoft does not require any rights to customer data other than the rights you grant to Microsoft. And finally, Microsoft is responsible for platform service level agreements, while the customer is responsible for application service level agreements. What are some of the common customer objections that we hear? A customer might say, I spent the past 20 years investing in moving to direct connect and computing. When I think about the cloud, all I can think about is this overwhelming task of reinventing everything or disrupting everything. They have some frustration. They have some concerns. They don't know what they don't know. They fear the unknown. We're all humans. It's natural. Explain the vision of the extended data center via the hybrid model. No, you don't have to throw that all away. Let us help you get more value out of it. Let us help you stop the continued investment in your on-premises environment. Let us show a way that you can slowly wean yourself off of this capital expense model that you have. Reassure them that embracing the cloud does not mean rip and replace. Microsoft is one of the only vendors out there where a cloud strategy does not have to be an all-in strategy. Reassure them that Microsoft Azure is a platform not just built for .NET and Windows. We support Linux. We support different coding languages. We support different databases. We have SDKs for all mobile devices out there. Educate them on that. There are still a lot of people that think, oh, it's Microsoft Azure, therefore I've got to be 100% Microsoft. That's simply not true. Explain about the advantages of let us show you how you slowly move your business model from a capital expenditure model to an operational expenditure model for your IT investments. Then propose to them an assessment to find the Tier 2 and Tier 3 applications, to find the dev and test environment that they can move. You might think, well, there's not a lot of money for me to just set up this little dev and test environment. But that is a necessary step for you to grow your business and become a trusted advisor around cloud technologies for your customer. Then your customer is going to come back to you for the next step and the next step. Or you can actually lead them that way. Another customer might say, I've made tons of investment on premises. I haven't even seen the return on investment on the stuff I've already done on premises, so don't talk to me about the cloud. This is a typical customer scenario that may have overbought. The customer may have a large data center that is at 70% capacity. It happens. There are a lot of customers that do that. Focus on the net new projects. They're sitting on unused compute and storage, so it's unlikely that they're going to entertain a lift and shift project. What about that new project? You can spin up a virtual machine in minutes. You can test and deploy something and go global instantly. Find that net new application. The customer is more likely to entertain cloud for that project. Explore their contract timelines. Maybe it's a co-location agreement that they're dealing with. When is the contract up for that? Let's start some planning. It's coming up in 6 months. We better start planning for next year. Find out when their contract cycles are. Find out when their Microsoft contract cycles are. Again, propose an assessment. Propose using the Microsoft Azure Cost Estimator tool. You can download this from the Microsoft website. Run it, and it basically reports out all of the Windows Server utilization, and you can build a really nice roadmap and cost estimation of the savings of moving those workloads into Microsoft Azure. You can build that as part of your assessment that you get paid for, or you can get business investment funds from Microsoft to help you do that work. Your next customer might say, the cloud is a black box system. I'm not sure what Microsoft is doing with my data. How do you guarantee uptime? How do I get the data back? On premises, I can see all of that. I can touch it. I can control it. I'm sure you've heard similar sentiments. First of all, make sure they understand the Microsoft Cloud principles. Point them to the Trust Center. Let them really digest the Forrester white paper we have posted up there about cloud securities. Explain the hybrid cloud architecture possibilities with Microsoft Azure. Customers can decide where that data resides. They can decide which continent. They can decide that their data will never leave the US or never leave Europe, for example. They can also decide that the data needs to reside in their own data center. If they build a multi-tier architecture on the app, they can have components of the app that run in Azure very well, but the data remains on premises. Propose a pilot and show them that the scenarios such as dev and test could run in the cloud. Show the customer the securities that go along with it. Next up, security. A customer might say, I know my own security. I control the processes end to end. If I put my stuff on the web, I'm faced with the client network or other vendors' security. That's just too risky. Make sure they understand the cloud principles. Make sure they've digested the information we have in the Azure Trust Center. There's a white paper you can download and email to your customers. Point them to case studies. There's nothing like showing global companies that deal with highly secure data speaking publicly about using Microsoft Azure. Go to our customer site and search on great testimonials. You have the ability to book a data center tour if they really want to see. Once they see a massive hangar with military-style security on the perimeter, multi-level security once you enter the building including fingerprint, retina scan, and so forth, then they understand the whole software component and hardware-related securities inside the data center. Maybe they'll realize that that's about 10 times more secure than their own data center, which it probably is. You can schedule a tour. There's a process. I would say the best one to visit is probably Chicago because it's an easy cab ride from the airport. All the other data centers are pretty remote, so you may be spending a few hours in the car with the customer, but then again, that might be a good thing. Next up, performance. A customer might say, we've spent a lot of time fine-tuning everything, the hardware, network, and everything else. There's no way the cloud can keep up. Some of the best things to do when selling cloud-based solutions is to recognize what to disqualify as a cloud-based solution, then show them the case studies of some really highly scalable types of applications that customers are publicly speaking about. Talk to them about the sophisticated cache net that we have and also ExpressRoute. ExpressRoute is our service where we've partnered with private network providers such as Verizon, AT&T, Level 3, and others, where customers may already be a client of theirs. They get dedicated bandwidth and dedicated security of their private internet network. We partnered with these companies so that their routers and hardware are inside our Azure data centers, and they can ride that private network straight into our data center. They pay for it. It's not cheap to ride on those networks, but I would say that most enterprise customers have such an agreement already. To understand that they can leverage that agreement to ride the network straight into our data center could provide them the comfort that they need about dedicated bandwidth, speed, and so forth. Explain the import-export feature of Microsoft Azure. Let's say you have a customer that loves the Store Simple solution. Okay, great. How many months is it going to take me to hydrate 100 terabytes of data, and do I really want to pay for that bandwidth to do it? First of all, you don't pay for ingress data. All the data coming into Azure is free. There are network costs possibly. What import-export service does is we commission security drives fully encrypted. We then FedEx those drives straight from our data center to the data center of your customers, and then those come back to our technicians who load it up and hydrate 100 terabytes of data, and it all only takes a few days. Explain the advantages of platform as a service. Depending on the application, you can build things that will run really well, really fast. Things that will meet the performance that customers expect, but at a much lower cost and with greater elasticity. Yes, everything they have may be working really well right now, but maybe it's only at 60% capacity most of the time. They're paying for this wonderful stuff, but they're not really using it. With the PaaS application, they pay for what they use, and that's it. Propose an assessment to find those workloads that you could bring into the cloud. Show them that the bandwidth is there. Show them that the security is there. Thank you for taking the time to view this module on customer objections. We encourage you to review the other Microsoft Azure sales training modules as well.